Good day, everyone. Welcome back to Architect AI Lab. This is episode 4 of my AI series, which is AI Fundamental for Business Center Professional. And in our last episode, we talk about how AI decide what happens in the background when you use a Copilot feature or a standard agent in Business Central. And let's go one step further. Since so many things happening in the background, then who is controlling all of them? This is what we will cover today. That is AI orchestration. And before we get started, I would like to mention that this is not something an official content or from the Microsoft. This is just my perspective and my view that I'm trying to share with you all to make you understand about these AI concepts in a simple way so that you can easily understand and correlate it with the Business Central product. So let's get started. So, so orchestration is not a newly concept that suddenly arrived with AI. This is something it's already there in the product from the starting. I mean, I would say from the Navision time, and we all have been using and seeing that. But I think we have never given that thought in terms of orchestration. So let me give you a simple example about orchestration, like posting chain in Business Central. So just think about when you click a post on a sales order, what actually happens? Just have a thought. Stock get reduced, then shipment get created, then ILE get created, invoice get posted in the background, GL get posted, GL ledgers created, customer ledger created, VAT entry created. So there are 10 to 12 steps that is happening in the background. This is nothing but it's an orchestration. Or else I can give you another example of approval workflow. I think we all have seen the workflows and we have already used for sale, purchase and other business processes. So think about you have a purchase order that crosses a limit that you have defined, for example, $10,000. And then BC route it directly to the approval for the approval. And if required, it goes to another approval, then it get approved, order get status get changed, and then it send a notification automatically. So this is nothing but an orchestration actually in Business Central. So Business Central is doing this orchestration part since, as I said, since the beginning. And one thing to note here that the path here is fixed. Why I'm saying it as fixed? Because everything is decided in advance. Either an programmer has written some AL code in the background or an administrator defined the workflow and system is just following that path. And something doesn't work, then it just stopped, failed, and ask for an user to step up and handle it manually. So when it breaks, if something unexpected happens. Now talk about orchestration after AI. Let's take in another similar task like purchase invoice coming in, and we have a purchase and payable agent. So what happened that a vendor send an email to your shared email box, and here after receiving the email, we are not clicking on any button or starting any workflow. AI automatically read that email and also read the PDF that was attached in the email, and then it look up for the records in Business Central, and then it fetch the data, and then it reasons that whether it is confident enough to draft an invoice. If yes, then it draft an invoice and it's ready for human to review. And if not sure, then it asks human, right? So one thing to note it here that the path is not fixed because it's not decided in advance and AI is deciding it at runtime. So it's a dynamic path. That's the key difference that we need to take a note here as it decided at runtime. And one thing will always remain in common and constant, that is a human in loop. So as before AI and after AI, human will always remain in a loop whenever you post something or do something in Business Central as in final output. So that will remain constant. So the only thing changes is how much of the work has already been done before it handed over to human. That's what has been changed. Now let's go to Business Central and see few of the things. Now let me go to the sales order list and open one of the sales order which is ready to get posted. And before I click post, let's just think what will happen in the background when we click post. So it will call our coordinate 80, which is sales post, and the coordinate doesn't do everything by itself. It actually call or kicks off a whole chain which contain multiple steps like validating document, creating the shipment, creating the ILE in the background, creating invoice, posting the journal ledger entries, and posting the VAT entries, archiving the document, right? So as I said, there's a lot of multiple steps, I think 10 to 12 or something like that, which has actually been happening in the background. So I just opened the posted invoice and I try to find it. So all these entries are created by just one consolidated chain that from the click of one button. That's what I was talking about in on the whiteboard on the left side. So orchestration it's already present in the system from the beginning, as I said. Now let's talk about orchestration after AI, and I'll take an example of an payable agent. So vendor send an invoice to my email box. Like I said, I'm not doing anything, and let's go to the agent task to see how the agent process that email. So now let's understand about AI orchestration. Now I have an email that I have received from my vendor which having a three line. So let's go to purchase an a payables agent and let's go to that agent task that through which we can track. So once I receive that email, you can see one task ID has been created from my agent and you can see what number of steps that it has been executed. So we have number of steps that are executed by this agent for that particular email that we have received is 27. Now let's go to each of this step to understand more. Let me click here as view log entry. This will give me the complete steps that has been executed from my agent. So let's start from step one to understand what has happened and by my agent. So when the email is received to the agent doesn't start processing it. It asks for the user to for the approval to go ahead to review the email that it was received. So we have not clicked any button or um, started any workflow. So agent automatically asks user whether to proceed or not for the email that it has received. And once the user given the go ahead, then it will proceed further. It go to analyzing this document and reading the email that has been received from the vendor, and then it you can see here it extracting the data by calling the zero document intelligence to read that. Again, it's now we have three lines. So for all the three lines, start doing the matching for all the invoice lines. This is for the first invoice line with the existing purchase order. So you can see here, w- once it's not been, it's checking for all these three lines, the matching on the purchase order, if it's found or not. And once it's found, this has been matching has been completed, then it draft the purchase document here. And that is purchase invoice. And once this draft has been generated, it asks for the user to check. And then you can see here that we have got some error, which is related with once the draft is approved, it needs to be turned into purchase invoice. But we got an error that is related with deferral schedule. Now, this is interesting to know that once we get an error, it didn't fail and stop. It actually highlight what was the issue and ask user to check and help me, and then I try to rectify this issue and then it tried again, and after trying it again you can see here we got an error again, and it again asks for user to interfere and do the resolution, and then it again once the issue is resolved, then you can see here that it created the purchase invoice and it just stopped. So you can see here, that's what I'm saying, That this is not an fixed path, it's a dynamic path because AI is deciding everything at runtime what to do next. That's the key difference to understand and to note. And you can see from this live example as well. That's what I was trying to show you uh, from the diagram that I've seen. This orchestration, the dynamic path and the fixed path. So let's bring it all together. Like I said, orchestration is not something new. Business Central has already been doing and coordinating multi-step process, like we have seen the posting chain, the approval workflow. But what changes with AI that the decision is not decided what the decision was decided in advance by a programmer or an administrator. But with AI, the decision is decided at runtime based on what it actually finds. And if it's not sure, then it didn't fail, it asks. And human will always remain in the loop, still reviewing, still approving before posting anything in Business Central. The only thing it changes is the amount of work that has been done in the background before it reaches to the human. I hope I'm able to make you correlate this AI orchestration in the Business Central product. And thank you all for watching and subscribing to my channel. And in our next episode, we will talk about MCP from a Business Central perspective. And if you have not subscribed me yet, then do subscribe and join me in this AI journey. And see you all in the next episode.